recording.
Oh, all right.
Today, I'd like to introduce the wonderful, uber talented rapper, hyperpop star, Midwxst. How you doing, man? Thank you for being here.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's always nice to talk to people who enjoy my music.
Yeah, man. And I'm happy that I can pick your brain for a second, hear what's going on in your life.
Of course, dude.
Where are you at right now?
In my room in Carmel, Indiana, just finished an exam like earlier today, so I've been studying for my next one tomorrow because tomorrow's my last one, and then I'm done with for the rest of my high school career. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so
How'd it go?
went good. I already got a grade back, and I got an 80% on it. So
Say less, man. 80%.
yeah, I was surprised too. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
You know, I've always been confused about grades. I've always been like 80% is considered good, 90% is considered really good. I'm like, why isn't 50% good? Like, I've recollected 50% of this information. That's fucking crazy.
like, if you have to learn 50% of the entire history of the US and you know 50% of it, that's still good.
That's so good. And then they're like, no, you failed. And I'm like, get out of here.
You blow, you're horrible. Like, what? How is that possible?
So tell me what that's like. High school student by day, music star by night. How do you manage that?
So what I really do is just, to me, music is just more of an escape for me because I talk about shit that I barely talk about to any soul person, anybody in the world in my music. Like, my parents found out that I was going through a lot of emotional stress sophomore year of my high school year in my music before I even opened up to them. Is how much I relied on music to help me. And so by day, I'm not one to like push my music to people a lot. I'll just let people find it. They like it, get a new fan. That's it. If people really find out that I make music when I give them my Instagram and stuff, like when they post my Insta or stuff like that. Cause I'll just be vibing with somebody. Like I could be in there's just one Indian artist named Pink Blanket. I went over to his house. And we literally just vibe. We didn't make any music. We just talked, got background on each other, and just understood and found out why we started music together and shit like that. And it was cool. Like making music is more of just something that I'm able to do when I get that when I might feel a certain way. If I feel down or if I feel like I need to lift myself in some way, I'll just go and make a song, put my thoughts that day into a song. So it's super fun to have that because some days if I get mad or frustrated at school or something, I'll be like, oh, I need a rant. And then I get on my microphone and I just talk about how my day went, what made me mad, what pissed me off, what is good, like all this shit. And it just comes together and ends up becoming something that people can relate to.
So are people in your school like familiar with your stuff? Like, is that something that gets brought up on a regular basis? Like,
it's it is, because I wouldn't say a regular basis, but every now and then people will be like, hey, I saw you dropped a new song, this, that, and the third. I have a funny story with school relating to my music. So freshman year, fresh out of middle school, I had a faux hawk on my head. I was 4'10", and man, I was the class clown. Like I would try to make anybody's day better and make anybody laugh as much as I could. And so one day there was this little joke like beef going on between two kids in my grade named Zach and Richard. And so they were writing diss tracks towards each other and people were choosing sides on who's was the best one. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna outshine both of y'all, but at the same time I'm gonna support my boy Zach. And then I wrote a little the X song, Look at Me. I basically did the whole flow. I was like, I still got the song on my page too. I said, look at Zach instead of look at me. That released, I dropped that. It started spreading around the school like crazy. And I went by like the worst name I think I've ever heard any rapper have in the world. I went by Lil Draco, aka Young Bullet Casey.
So that's when you sort of started making music, like around freshman year. Because I also know you had another alias called Suspect. So I'm just sort of curious, what did like early Midwxst sound like when you're first starting making music, starting to release music?
Ooh, earliest Midwxst. Like I think if you think a mixture of J. Cole sometimes with like very big like hint of XXXTentacion and all the members only with that gritty, no melody, dark ass melody, like no auto tune rap. That's what my old sound used to be. I used to be on some like I was a mosh pit rapper. Like I was like I literally made music saying nothing but bullshit in the song itself, just to get people hype as fuck and get
Mm,
like jumping stuff like that all
mhm,
above it. So I used to be a little like members only clone. Like I'm not gonna lie, I used to be like a very like because 2016 X, 2015 early very rare era X and Ski Master Slump God was the only thing I listened to whenever when I started when I finally got SoundCloud because they were the first artists to be recommended to me. And then from there I found Wi-Fi's Funeral. On Wi-Fi's Funeral I found Lil Skies, all the whole members only collective like Cooley Cut, all those people, and then hey, that just influenced me. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do my rap. And I've been in music ever since like I could first go to church as like a child. I was in the choir, did all these. I did singing concerts, singing contests. I was in show choirs with school. I was in band from all the way through middle school up until sophomore year, and I played baritone and trumpet. Like
mm.
I've always
Wow.
been very music involved in my like music heavy and very music involved in my life.
Yeah.
And so when I found out that people liked me doing original music, because I wrote all the lyrics myself, like I was just talking my shit, even though I did not have anything to do with the beef. I just wanted to somehow make it make it my part, and then so I intervened in that, and then after that I started focusing on my lyrical content because I did poems and poetry before I started rapping as well. Not a lot of it, but the poems that I did have to do for English classes, I really spent a lot of time dissecting and making sure were the best of the best that I put out. And so that taught me really well.
And so I want definitely want to talk more about influences later, but it's
Yeah,
interesting all those names you mentioned because it's apparent to me that, yeah, you're bringing in that sort of hip hop style into sort of this more alternative hyper pop sort of instrumental
yeah,
sound. And like you're one of those artists like really sort of crafting what hyper pop is through that mixture. And I
yeah.
definitely want to get more into that later. But I'm also intrigued by, yeah, people are, responding to this music that you're making and to your talent. And you think, so is that like the primary driving force for you to be like, or was the primary driving force to be like, oh shit, this is something that I'm good at and I should just start releasing music for everyone to hear?
At first, I really didn't get a steady fan base for myself until this year. Like 2020, although it has been a shit year for basically the entire world itself, it's been an amazing year for me musically wise.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to actually stop leaning into trends and creating my and doing what would be popular at the time. I started making my own sound. I did things that I enjoyed. I started putting more thought into my lyrics and my sounds. And then next thing you know, I gained an original, very reliable fan base for myself. I could drop a mainstream song like Cantu, and then I know that shit would do good because I have those people who listen to that type of music. Drop four, and then I could drop Five Faced if I wanted to, and the next thing you know, I would listen to that. And so I've always been a really diverse. I like to diversify myself. I don't like to get reeled into one category.
And speaking to your music diversity, for anyone that doesn't know, Midwxst has a amazing song that samples the one and only song Trouble by Taylor Swift, and it is incredible. So if you're not aware of that, you should definitely go listen.
Yeah, I love that song because I went through this one phase with Lance. Me and Lance just sat in calls talking about early 2000s hits and like "Don't Stop" with Jack and David, that song, and then there was another song on like an LMFAO like party rock sample that never came out that Jack ended up getting the beat for, stuff like that. And it's like, hey, they just sitting around. I'm not gonna like listen. I didn't put them on streaming service because I don't want to get sued for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to court for it. So I'm gonna keep it on SoundCloud specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about making a list of songs that came out like 10 years ago that are actually hyperpop. Like if they were released now, they would be considered hyperpop. And at the top of the list would be TikTok by Kesha. Like that, that's at the very top.
It's so like God, that melody because I just got
It's
drawn in by
crazy. That song's insane. Yeah. So what's that feeling like? So you're making music, people are starting getting attention in your high school, then you come into your sound, and then you suddenly have like all of these fans and people paying attention to you. It all happened like really kind of fast as well. So how are you sort of comprehending that? Like how are you perceiving that? What's it like for you? What's that feeling like?
Um, it's just as surprising it is as it was to my dad when he found out I was close to 10,000 followers on social on Instagram. It's crazy to think that a 17-year-old kid from South Carolina who literally who lives in Indiana, one of the most boring states, but at the same time most interesting states in the world, in my opinion. That's just my, but has been able to create a platform for herself to literally he could talk about any I could talk about anything I wanted to talk about. Like during the summer when there are all the Black Lives Matter movements and all the protests that are still going on to this day, I use my platform as a place to express how I felt on the situations, how we should change. I put like petitions, change.org, petitions on my story, stuff like that, just to get some sort, just use my platform for some sort of good. And that feeling feels great when you know that you're helping people out who might not have the same platform that you do. You're creating stuff that a group of people who haven't been represented in music or media haven't been represented in music and media yet are being represented now, and you're becoming the forefront, the face of that. Like for the industry, the hyperpop scene as a whole, if like Quinn, Oz Quinn, me, Angelus, and Dollywood One are like some of the most major minority figures in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
With that, it's a little, and just how the world works, it's a little bit harder for us to get caught on to like mainstream media. Like for example, like Glaive and stuff like. I still love Glaive. Glaive's the homie. Shout out Ash, like the GOAT. But sometimes harder to market yourself that well, and it's harder for kids to resonate with maybe it's hard and it's weird for people to have to find that, oh shit, my favorite artist is a transgender non-binary dreadhead black kid who makes music on a blue snowball. But when you listen to Quinn's songs, it's fucking nuts. It's something you've never heard before. And so when I started getting a platform for myself, because I've been grinding for like multiple years, just trying out different things to see which style I like the most, which things would get me the furthest, this, that, and the third. And then I settled on fuck it, I'm gonna just do myself, be myself. Fuck it. If I get an audience, I get an audience. If I don't, I still curate music for myself and on the side of things. And I've been in Nova for a while. So when Pressure blew up for David and Jack over there, they have their song blowing up, and then Dolly is starting to blow up with her I can't keep giving back. I didn't more than I need, more than I get. Honestly, might give up that song. And then you see Quinn, who was in Nova, go up, and you see Lou have a fan base for herself too. It's just everybody around you starts to go up, and it motivates you to go even harder than you were. Like it's just like, you know what? If they can do that, because I know that they've been grinding too, I'm finna grind my ass off as well. And then as soon as you get on that grind and you start, it might take a while for some people. It might be the quickest fucking grind you've ever seen in your life, but at the end of the day, the same goal is to just have fun and create what you want to create. Don't let anybody else influence or say that you can't create a sort of sound if you enjoy making that sort of sound. And it's just been super cool seeing all the DMs and shit I get, talking to fans and just talking to people who enjoy my music on like a day-to-day basis. And just because although I may be, people might see me as a big artist, but I'm still a small artist in my opinion. I'm still a minor artist who has like 2 cents to his name in the scene and in the music scene as a whole. So I'm not in, so, and I just like talking to people. So it's been super cool going from a kid who is a social butterfly, but is very introverted, to being able to be myself in my music and talk to people who enjoy my music and experience all the same things I feel. Cause it's cool to be a fucking 17-year-old who's able to make music from their bedroom and have a mass appeal from multiple cultures and multiple minority groups and just people who enjoy music as a whole. It's cool to say that, yeah, I got on a Spotify playlist, because it's like nobody ever expected that. I never expected to get this big as I am now, and I'm still gracious and gratitude and gratuitous for it because I know that I know people who have been on the grind for way longer than me and are just now getting the shine and the stuff that they deserve, and it's it's really cool because I know that once I go up, I'm bringing up all the people that helped me get to the place I am now. Because that's the least I can do. That's the way I was raised. I always pay respect and I always give credit to influences and people who influence me because I know some people who don't. I know people who get a little bit of clout and next you know they get an ego and stuff like that. And it just kind of mad because it's like it's not cool to cut people off who helped you get to where you are. You wouldn't be anywhere without these people. And like if I didn't have my friends, like if I didn't have my friend Aloe who like mastered and produced like basically all my old shit, Fifth Way, Larzy, Ellens. I still work with Lance to this day too, because that's my fucking homie. We came up from nothing together. Like we both made names for ourselves in the community. I was the only one using his beats for a while, and it was just that's the homie, and I forever will have respect for all those people that have helped me get to the place I am.
And I try not to be hyperbolic, and I often am. And this isn't hyperbole. And I really do think that you are paving a way. Like you are a pioneer in a lot of ways. Sort of just to speak on what you're saying. So, and I think it's cool that you're sort of taking that responsibility, and and doing all these amazing things with it, while also just making like amazing, super cool music. I think that's like really impressive. It's a kind of a good segue because you brought up Nova Gang. So you're a part of two hyperpop collectives, Nova Gang and Helix Tears, the latter of which is led by Black Winter Wells. And both are pretty prominent within the greater hyperpop universe and the many collectives that are out there. So I'm just sort of curious, like, how did that happen? How did you go from just being an artist to then being a part of one of these groups?
So me and Problem go way back. And so like I think I want to say 2016 maybe.
Wow.
I think that's when Problem reached out to me to join Nova. And so me and him just been some of the closest, he's seen me go up from nothing type shit. And then with that, it's like that because he reached out to me because one day I was just in the VC with him because I found him naturally, he found me naturally. And the original leader of Nova Gang was Fabric, and Fabric was a producer. He's no longer really active in the scene. He kind of just moved on, living his life now. But Fabric was somebody who really liked my music. He reached out to me, and back when Nova was like OG, like me, Slade, Vision Blur, like Dolly, like old Nova Gang. They really like my music, and so Problem reached out to me, and then he was like, "Yo, want to join?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, bet." And then I joined right there because it's the internet-based collective. None of us have actually only Waze, Zootsie, and Problem have all met up before, so they're the only ones that have met IRL. I hung out with basically like all the bloodhounds, so like Chach, Keegan, FNS, Matches, all those people. I hung out with them in Austin, Texas, like last December. So that was fucking sick.
Yeah.
With Helix Tears, what happened was I used to be in Goon City. Shout out Goon City, like fucking go to collective, and like that's all my homies in there. Like Kevin Hilfiger, like Casper, all these people that just really have seen me come up from nothing. Like they took me in when I was like a little baby in the scene, like when I didn't know a thing at all about music. And they watched me grow up into the point where I parted ways with Goon, but the only reason why is because I felt like I didn't fit the sound anymore. I didn't fit like the aesthetic or like the way that I was making music at the time did not make it feel like I fit into the Goon sound type stuff. And so I parted ways with that. And Wells was in Goon City and she had left a few months prior. And so Helix Tears have been around for a while, but I just I'd been aware of it because Dolly was in Helix Tears and Dolly and Emotionals both vouched for me to get in. And then I already hit up Wells because like one day I was like, boy, I was like, I really like the Helix Tears, like music and stuff. And so I was a Gravemind for a small amount of time too, the new culture that arose. And so I left Gravemind too. with the dead set focus on joining Helix Tears. And then I just asked Wells, like, yo, you trying to let me in Helix Tears? I feel like I could really make some good music. And then next thing you know, she lets me in. I'm already cool with other people in there. I meet even more people that I didn't even know were like big, that I didn't even know were as talented as I was. And so after that, I started working with more people. Like um another OG I really like pay respect to is Yerms. Yerms has been like a really big person in my in my artistry life, who's just been who's helped me out so much. Like, and Wells has been, and Wells did Two Face. Me and Wells' first collaboration was Two Face, and man, that I was,
Banger.
one day I was just like, you know what, I feel like I could do something because this is back when Wells started to Wells had just started to work with Quinn Parker, but she used to go as Parker, and so this is back when Wells was working with her for the first couple of times. I was like, yo, fuck, they go hard together. I want to see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I her send her the Discord. I was like, yo, she's like, yo, I feel like we should make something together. We're like, okay, say less. You want a beat or you want a vocal song? I was like, I need a beat ASAP. I was like, she's like, I'll cook one for you right now. And the same night I got the fucking Two Face beats. The same night I made the Two Face song is how hyped up I was to fucking record. Like, I was like, holy shit, because I was driving back from because I do technical theater at my school, so I work behind the scenes for shows and
Yep.
stuff. So I was driving back from that, and I got the beat. All I heard was boom, 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 and I just played it on loop, getting back home, just to hear all the flows I could do over it. And then one part, I at the beginning, I was like, "Put on a mask while you Two Face," and that just stuck with me in my head until I got home. And I was like, I got home, put my keys in the lock, I was like, hey dad. Now I ran downstairs, opened my laptop up, got on my mic, and just straight up download the beat from Discord and just dragged it in the FL Studio and got to it. Like,
Dad, dinner can wait. I have to go make a crazy song.
happened so much. Oh my god, my dad would be like, "You need to eat." I was like, "Let me finish the song first."
Food is not important.
Exactly. But then made Two Face, made the art for it, and then I think like I think maybe a week later, dropped it and released it because I did not want to sit on it any longer. I was like, "No, nah, this needs to be released." But I fucking love this song. Released it, and then that beat switch in the middle was like something that a lot of people on the scene hadn't done before. Like there's been beat switches before in hip hop. Every song, every genre has probably had a beat switch of some sort that has been iconic or it's been something that everybody knows. Like for example, Sicko Mode, Travis Scott's beat switch, The Night's beat switch by Frank Ocean.
Mm.
Like the 911, the 911
To Tyler.
Malone Tyler like beat
Yeah.
switch. There's been because he always had like the parties and over Beamer, that whole on the Wolf album, because I'm a Tyler fan, so sorry if I'm geeking, but like
No.
with that it was just like there hadn't been really a big beat switch like that in the scene yet. I was like, fuck it, this, because I really like vocalization. Like if you look at my FL Studio file, I used to record 2 layers, which is my main vocals and my ad-libs, but for this song I had 5 layers, which was my main vocals, my main ad-libs, a high mid-tone octave, higher octave, and a very low octave. And so I put my all into this shit. This was like the longest thing I ever mastered in my life before. I was like, oh. And but once I got it done, I listened to it in the car. I was like,
It came out crazy. So all hard work pays off, man. So I would like some sort of, if you don't mind, some insight about sort of these collectives as a whole, because I think for a lot of listeners, these collectives can sort of be confusing or maybe kind of overwhelming, especially for new listeners trying to sort of get into the genre, and then they find themselves with so much to navigate and so many different players in a seemingly endless supply of music, which I think is amazing. But a lot of it sort of gets jumbled up sometimes. So if you could sort of talk a little bit about what it's like being in a collective, who comprises these groups, like artists, producers, like how do they come together? What's their function? And if I'm just sort of overthinking this, you can also sort of just let me know that as well.
So the collectives that I'm in, it's a mixture of producers, artists, and vocalists. And a lot of producers double on doing like covers. They're doing like the artwork for releases and shit like that. Like all like most of if not all of the cover art on the Nova page, except for the Game Over art for me and Dolly was made by Problem. Like do all those, and members will chip in and draw some shit and throw it in. They think it looks hard and throw it in the Discord and stuff like that. But for the most part, every collective has core artists and core producers. So for the corporate, so if you think of Nova Gang, you think of the producers being from Nova, being either Problem or Lance most of the time.
Yeah.
But in reality, we have Problem, Lance, Slappy, LB66, 99. We have a lot of producers in there, like CJ, who's the newest addition. Like we have a lot of producers in there, but it's more of just you have that, and then you also have who do you call it? And then for example, if you look over the Helix tiers, you have very talented vocalists, but at the same time, you have very talented artists as well. And just what these collectives main a day. Okay, so I'll just describe a day in the life of somebody in the collective, the online collective.
Please.
So you wake up, maybe get some breakfast, hop in voice chat, and then literally we will watch somebody play GTA 5 for 3 hours, and then next thing you know, we'll suddenly divert to talking about melodies on a beat and then end up making a song. And then after we make a song, we send it back and forth, and then we finish the song literally in a day. Like most of the songs that you hear dropped are either finished in a day or there's no in between. So you either have finish it in a day or it takes a week because you're so lazy to finish it that you just like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. The FLP just stays open on the laptop. And with that, it's like quarantine has been both a blessing and a curse because it's given us time to be more productive as a collective than we have in any time like that than we have in basically like half of the time that we've been a collective, because we have lives outside of music. Everybody has a life outside of music. Everybody has a life outside of rap, all these things. But when you have time just stuck in the house to do nothing, music is the first thing that pops up in anybody's head that's in the scene. It's like, I'm gonna make a song. Then next thing you know, we're making fucking covers of. You see Quinn making covers of the Duck song. You see people making covers of summer songs. Like it's just fun, dude. We just have fun. We're just all kids hanging out in our rooms, recording bullshit and just saying a day in the life of how we feel, what we do, what we play, what video games we're doing, like, and just saying sick bars all over a beat. And then that's literally the scene as a whole. That's how everyone does it.
And do you think that's like a part of the reason why hyperpop, as it is currently known, and how the sound is sort of coalesced around, do you think that is why it sort of really blew up this year, because it's such an internet Discord based thing? Yeah. And you guys are all just sort of inside with no really exterior outlets other than sort of be on Discord and just make a ton of music. And then that's coincided with the genre really sort of blowing up this year.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, that's why 2020 has been such a good year for everybody, because it's given time for people to dive deeply into songs and genres that they didn't know existed. Yeah. Like I found out about like before hyperpop existed, there was digicore. Before digicore existed, there was glitchcore. All these labels and stuff like that. But in reality, we all just make alternative music. We all make music a label cannot really get put on things if you make a song that has influences from over 100 genres and shit. Like, but I think that just the diversity in sounds and just the originality that exists in the scene has just been something that people haven't seen before. Yeah. It's like, it's very reminiscent of like the 2016 SoundCloud rapper era, like Lil Pump, all the Florida rappers, and like Xavier Wolf and Wylan and like Autumn Summers all blowing up out of the blue because their music was something that nobody had ever heard before. Like nobody else was making music like Ski Mask back in 2016. And when people hear originality, they like originality, so they keep listening to it. And you just hear the artist develop even more and more and more. It gets you drawn in, wondering what their next.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, you're good, man. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, so and there is so much diversity and between different artists and sonic diversity between different artists and different collectives. So I'd be sort of curious for you, for the collectives that you're in, if you feel like there is a tangible difference, or the collectives that you've been a part of in the past, if there's a tangible difference between them from a musical perspective, a community perspective, and if you can, a branding perspective, and if you can, even if you put that in words, I'd be really curious how you would lay that out.
There definitely is a difference just in how people act. Not act, I'm tweaking, but like there's a difference in sounds. Like Nova Gang has its Nova sound, which is pitched up, high, quick, like melodic ass melodies, and then versus Helix Tears, who is a very forefront runner in the hyperpop scene with very like 100 Gex's drums with mixes of like Madian or Porter Robinson synths and melodies and vocal and but the vocal layers of like a fucking angel like put into it. Like there's a definitely a big difference between sounds in the community because out of all the collectives like Boys Night Out, Bloodhounds, Nova Gang, Grave Mind, Goon City, and Helix Tears, there's unique sounds in all of those. Like you think of Goon City, you think of Masaku Fox. Masaku Fox, you think of Plug. You think of Plug, you think of Ketamine. After Ketamine, you think it's this big intercollecting like web that just never stops. Because once you find another artist, you find another person that makes music like that person, but they make it their own music, they make it their own sound, turn it into that person's sound, and you find out somebody else who does the exact same thing. It's just a repeating cycle over and over and over and over and over. It just creates this really, really, really nice feel to just be a part of because no matter how different everybody's sound is, no matter how different, like I could drop like I could drop a Zaytoven ass song right now, but still be Nova Gang and Helix Tears, and then people wouldn't care. People do not give two shits about what type of music you make. As long as you're a good person, that's all that matters to people, and that's all that should matter.
So talking about your music for a second, specifically, because we've talked a lot about, the community as a whole. So you rap, you sing, it's very melodic. Sometimes it's emotional. Often it's very aggressive, distorted, and almost always over these sort of strange, glitchy instrumentals that the movement is sort of coalesced around. So I'd be kind of curious what drew you to this unconventional sound in the first place. Why go from sort of these 2016, hip hop sound, influence to sort of the more hyper pop, so electronic stuff?
If I'm being honest, shit, they just sound good. If I'm being, it's literally that's the answer I can give. Like I'll go from creating like a West Coast rap SOB RBE song to creating a sad guitar ballad with no drums on it, like a Prod This Landis like guitar song. Because I don't give a fuck what genre the beat might be. I don't give a fuck who the producer. Like I don't give a fuck what genre the producer might be. Like might be more prominent in. I still make music just depending on if the beats sound good or not. Like I made a dance hall song, but the next day I made a fucking mosh pit song. Like to me, I don't give a fuck if. But I don't give a fuck if the beat could be as simple as just an 808 and hi hats. But if it sounds good to my ears, shit, I'll hop on it. Like that's just the way I see things. And that's why I keep such a close knit of like. That's why you see me only working with like 5 producers though, because like once you get accustomed to somebody, you already know that your two sounds mesh together so well that it's like fuck. Why would I want to work with X, Y, and Z? But at the same time, if you, I check my beat email. Like I have a public beat email and I have a private beat email. Private for more like my friends and my family and like people who send me beats that I'm close to. And then the public email that I just give to everybody who's interested in sending me beats to. And I check the beat email, my public one more than I check my private one now. Cause like I've gotten so many good beats in there. I've been like, holy shit, I could nail this shit. I could run this shit right now. Because I don't, for me, I just get appealed by if you're a good prick. You could be 12 years old, but if you're a good producer, I'll still hop on it. Like, that's just the way I see it. Because if you see my beat selection, you see that it ranges a lot. Because like if you go back to like late November, maybe October, you'll see me dropping songs like Can 2 and I tell you, I privated it, but like Blastoise, which are like very hard, aggressive mainstream ass songs. But then I'll have my songs like Two Face, Three Face, Four Face, Cycle, Regret, all the Secrets EP and that stuff. And it's like you see that I don't really care if you make mainstream beats. I don't give a fuck because some days I want to make mainstream songs. Some days I want to make some days I want to make gritty old 80s, 90s hip hop. Like
Yeah.
the beat is good to me. I'ma hop on it. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, and I mean that's sort of like for me, that is like what defines hyperpop at this point. I feel like nobody knows what it really means, like from a sonic perspective, and that's because it is so unclassifiable. I think it did mean something maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it meant something pretty specific, but at this point, like it is so just wide ranging. And historically, from the early days of PC music, desk pop, like all the way through Charlie XCX and Gex, hyperpop has been defined by the genre mashing, by its lack of boundaries. And that's sort of interesting that you talk about this and like just within your intuitive musical sensibility is to just like not give a fuck. Like if it sounds good, like I'm going to flow over it. Like if that isn't hyperpop, then like I don't know what is at this point. Like an artist like just giving no shits and just like taking from this sound, this genre, this aesthetic, and just mashing it all together into something. But that, I mean, from your side, I think like the best hyperpop artists are the ones that can do that and like unify that into their own sound, which I think is something that you do. And I think there are probably a few distinct shared reference points amongst like all you hyperpop artists. But I would be curious about sort of your biggest influences specifically and like the biggest ones and which ones you are either past or contemporary and how you are using those influences, putting them together to create your own take on hyperpop.
I think my biggest like overall inspirations, I could give you a full list of them because shit. Um Recently it's been a lot of Pierre Bourne, Autumn, Kenny Mason, J. Cole, JID, Joey Badass, Madian, Porter Robinson, Stan Hollow, like the fucking greats. Like don't forget Chief Keef too. Shout out Chief Keef, the GOAT. Oh my god.
Facts.
That nigga's like one of my top 5 artists of all fucking time. Him, X, Ski, J. Cole, and JID and Frank Ocean are some of my most favorite artists in the world. Same with Tyler too.
There are worse artists out there to have to be influenced by.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion of the term then? I feel like it's become kind of like not controversial, but for a lot of people, like no one really wants to talk about it seriously because it's become sort of this catch-all thing that nobody really understands. Some people are like, oh, it's just pop. Like this is just pop music. And I'm like, for me, it's like, I mean, it's not pop music. Like it's like clearly a lot weirder than like conventional pop music. So, but it is, doesn't really, for a lot of people, it's confusing. So I'm kind of curious about what your opinion is on it. And do you consider yourself hyperpop? And if not, what would you call yourself, if anything?
I just like the title. I like hyperpop, but also I like alternative. Like, because alternative to me is just because it's like it shows that it's not any of the songs listed above. Like alternative or electronic, like alternative electronic music will be perfect for me because you can hear the influence in my music. You can hear all the big old melting pot of sounds that influence me in my songs, just in my way of my delivery, my topics, all of that. And with that, I'm not even opposed to like hyperpop as a title, but I think it's just some people are afraid. People just don't like putting labels on things because it's hard to label those things in the correct way that'll encompass everybody that's in that scene or everybody that makes that type of music. And so I think that's just also another thing of why the controversy, like even started in the first place. There was controversy back when, because this scene has gone through so many names, like Digitrap, Digicore, Hyper, like Glitchcore, Hyper Glitchcore, like it's been through so many fucking names. But I think that everybody can agree that hyperpop is better and hyperpop is decent for a start. because and it's a good place to start because it's hard for people to even label what it is anyway. So might as well start somewhere. So
I kind of like the idea of it like being like it's just like it's an umbrella term, like it's like rock music or it's like just hip hop, and then you have like hyperpop, and then you have subgenres like subsections of hyperpop, and then as the genre like continues to develop and its narrative continues to be written, like these will become clearer. But I like the idea of it just being like this sort of new paradigm shifting sound that will then branch like rock music, like hip hop, that will now then branch into all these other things. And I think that will happen. But for now, I agree. I think hyperpop is it's familiar. It's familiar and it makes sense for now. I think that's a good way to put it. So you have a couple songs on the Spotify Hyperpop playlist. So what are your thoughts on the playlist? Do you think people pay too much attention to it, or is it overall a net positive thing?
It's definitely a net positive thing to me. Like, because Alden and Grande are some of like the people that have not gotten the shine and recognition that they deserve on Spotify.
Facts. And do you think it's I know Alden had glitter on it, I believe. Yeah. Do you think it's unfair that like that is where everybody is paying attention to? I think that's where everyone's eyeballs are on. So like if an artist doesn't make it, you have all these, and I do want to know about your favorite artists in the scene that you think people should be listening to. But yeah, everyone's eyes are on this playlist, and that is where everyone goes to find new hyperpop artists, because it does take more effort to go on SoundCloud and search it, and do more of your own research. That is just a nice, convenient place. So I'd be curious, just your thoughts, like, what are some other artists that you don't get enough recognition that you think people should be listening to that maybe aren't on the playlist? I'd be curious your thoughts there, and just in general, like your favorite artists in the scene. I think people would like to hear that.
So I got a list.
Yeah, let's do it. Do it.
My favorite artist is 4 a.m. is an amazing vocal artist that people sleep on, like heavily. Literally makes some of the best vocal music I've heard. My fucking brother, like that's the fucking homie, like that, like that's one of like the closest and most talented people I know. Steph and Nova Gang 2, Slade, Kite, Zeke or DLTCK. He produces a lot of big songs. Like he had this really big song called "What's My Age Again," and it's super fucking hard. Solo, fucking Dolly, Lou, Saturn, big on Saturn, and Death Coney too. Kuru, Masaku Fox. Funeral. A lot of people just need to understand that, like, yeah, Spotify is a cool playlist and it's cool to be on a Spotify playlist, but at the same time, there's so many other people who just are some of the hardest artists I've heard in a minute come out of SoundCloud, like as a whole, like Avid, Hey Guapo, fucking Roxas is fucking nuts. Kamo, Kaizen, like all Alden. I already saw Alden earlier, but shout out Alden too. Widow, like all those people. Curtains, EXO, fuck, they keep coming back to me.
There's so many
people. Curtains, Exodus, Sebi, Yerms, Black Winterwells, Angelus. Like it's just people need to understand and wake up to the fact that this is the scene that you're going to have to pay attention to, regardless of if you want to or not. This is the scene that is going to somehow make its way into mainstream media. It already is making its way into mainstream media. You can see with Blade, you can see with Curtains, you can see with Sebi, you can see with all the people that have been going up recently, that this is starting to become something that people are interested in, that they really want to see more of. And I can only look forward to that. That's some music in that scene, because I really want to see all the people who I just mentioned, and even more people that can't come to the top of my head right now. I just want to see them get the credit, the recognition, and the love that they deserve, because they put their blood, sweat, and the tears into these things. Because a lot of people use this as a way, like Waze has a horrible, I'm not going to speak, I almost got a little too personal, but Music for him is literally an escape from his life. It's an escape for how he feels. It's an escape for a lot of people, and people just need to understand that this shit means the world to people. It really does. Like C2D, Mochila, Eric DOA, fucking the GO Eric. Oh my god. Eric, then you got fucking Gammo, Lance, Slade, just everybody, all those people just I already said Slade, but it's just all those people are like my fucking brothers and sisters, man. I'll forever have love and appreciation for them because they've put more work into this than a lot of people have in the shit that they do for a living. Like this shit is their 9 to 5. This is their version of a waking up and going to a job. Making music is their job. People feed their families off of this job. Yeah. And people that put as much work and time and effort into what they do to get the recognition they deserve as well. So when this scene goes up, that means that they're going up as well. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm still back in this shit. Like I if I had to give up my spot right now, my position, my influence, all of this, to see all my friends go up more than me and all my friends prosper and have a better life and just be able to provide for the people that they care about in their life, I would give it up in a heartbeat. Really will. Really will. It's just, I want people to understand that this is more than just kids making edgy music, saying everything that they want to say.
Yeah.
We make music because this is the way that we feel. This is an escape from escape from the fucking emotional, physical, and just life, the turmoils that life brings as a whole. Because life is not going to go smooth sailing for everybody. Life is never going to be smooth for anybody. This is our version of going to a therapist. This is our version of opening up to people. This is our version of having a conversation with your parents. So for some people, the microphone is their parents. The microphone is their therapist. The microphone is somebody that they can talk to when they have nobody else to talk to.
Yeah.
The microphone is their only friend that they have, because it's just, people need to understand that life is too short to just go into shit ignorant and think that, oh, this fucking sucks because they had stutters in it, or it's pitched up and this, that, and the third. Too fucking ignorant for it. Like, life is too short for that. You have to understand that if you want to have a good life, you have to go into everything open-minded. You can't go into everything closed-minded. That just ruins the life. Because you're supposed to learn something new in life. You're not supposed to keep going through the exact same shit you do every day.
Right.
Seeing the sign go up and seeing the scene go up right now is just a sign that people are starting to open up and people are starting to open their ears and listen more to us. And that's the only thing I can hope for.
Yeah, it's a community. It's a community. And Hyperpop, I felt it's always been a community from its earliest days. And it will only continue to grow, as you're saying, and life will continue to go and keep going and change. So I guess I'd be curious, what is next for Midwxst? What's going on next? How do you feel yourself evolving, and what do you see yourself doing in the near future or future?
It's already taking place behind closed doors. I'm not gonna speak on it because that would ruin it. But next year, I'm working on something that is gonna fucking blow people's minds. I'm so excited to put it out. It's gonna be so sick. I've been working on that. Working on a lot more visual stuff too. I've been really trying to get more into making videos for the songs that I release and accompanying those, because videos can be an even bigger place for somebody to have, like an even bigger audience for somebody to have. And I'm here for it, dude. Like, shit, I have so many ideas just running around in my head, just like, do this for this song, this, that, and the third. I'm like, yes. Like, hopefully after quarantine, after COVID-19 subsides, and hopefully it isn't as a major of an impact on travel, everything like that, I can go out to Los Angeles or somewhere, or ATL or Chicago, and just start everything up before I go out to college, because I'm going to college next fall at Belmont in Nashville, Tennessee.
Congratulations, man.
Audio engineering. Thank you. I'm super stoked for it, man. Like,
it's going to be awesome. And hopefully, by the time that you're out there, things will be a little bit back to normal, so you can have a sort of normal freshman year at college. I feel really terrible for everyone that had to start college through all this, having their freshman year during a pandemic. That it's really unfortunate. So I'm wishing you for the best. Do you plan on touring when concerts are a thing again?
What'd you say?
You plan on touring when concerts are a thing again?
Definitely. I plan on doing a lot more concerts and a lot more shit that I wasn't able to do back when quarantine started.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Yeah, if you're ever down in LA, man, I'll be. If if you have a show there, I'll be first in line. On God.
All right, man. I'm stoked to.
So just one question. This is sort of just one more question, basically. And this is sort of just for the fans. There seems to be a bond in the scene over pop culture, especially video games. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone your favorite video games, what do you hop on when you first get on the PC or the console?
Recently, I've always been a Call of Duty fan. Like I've always been a Call of Duty fan. Like ever since I could fucking stand, I got my first console, Call of Duty. So
Nice.
like, Call of Duty, and surprisingly, motorcycle games like ATV and dirt bike games. Like let me find which one I was speaking on, because MX versus ATV, Reflex, and Halo, and just all the Call of Duties, and big on shooters and driving games too, like Forza, Need for Speed on the PlayStation 2. I was always Hot Pursuit. I was always on that. Like whenever I got home from finish my homework and shit like that, I was like, yes. I turned the controller and everything with the sticks.
Do you play any Rocket League?
Yeah, I started to play Rocket League. I still suck at it, but
I'm terrible. I just started myself because I live in a house with three other, some of my closest friends, and they're all like really good. And so I'm like, oh, I have to get that good. And like, I'm just like, I can't do this. How do you hit the ball? How do you control this vehicle? It's so difficult.
Everybody else in the scene is so much better than me. I'm just here like,
I'm just like, I literally can't make contact with the ball. This is impossible. No, I'm getting a little better. I will say that.
Practice makes perfect, man.
Yeah, facts. All right, man. Anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
Shout out Nova, Helix, Goon, shout out Gravemind, and just shout out everybody that's been able to stay with me through all the shit that has been going on this year. It means the fucking world to me. And thank you for the opportunity to talk and just speak on my life, music, and everything as a whole. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This has been a blast. Everybody who's watching this, I've been talking to Midwxst, the amazing, super talented artist. He has an album out called Secrets. That it was one of my favorite projects of the year. I think it's super fun. It's catchy. It's eclectic. It really shows his skills as a songwriter, a pop songwriter. And if you haven't listened to it yet, definitely check that out. Check his Spotify, check his SoundCloud. He has, so much amazing output already. And it's only, up from here. The sky's the limit, man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your thoughtful answers. This has been a lot of fun.
I really appreciate it. All right.
All right. Peace out, dude.